The new Luna Rossa Carbon Eau de Performance versus the OG Carbon Eau de Toilette. Both of these are really good, but also quite different. So the question is, which one is the best? The original Luna Rossa Carbon Eau de Toilette is definitely among some of the very best everyday fragrances for men. The newer Carbon Eau de Performance moves in what I think is a different direction. So let's go through what they smell like, compare them in different ways, and then I share which one I think is the best and why. So a quick comparison when it comes to the bottle design. The newer Eau de Performance has sort of a darker bottle, which I actually appreciate more. Comparing them when it comes to price nowadays, you can find the original Eau de Toilette for anywhere between like 70 to 90 bucks for 100 ml. And I definitely paid more for the Eau de Performance, but it's also a new fragrance. But yeah, right now, the EDT is definitely the less expensive one. Let's start with the original Luna Rossa Eau de Toilette, and to me, it's definitely one of the most versatile ones in the Luna Rossa line. And to my nose, it's an aromatic, fresh and slightly earthy scent. I think it's a modern fresh scent with a gorgeous dose of lavender and a bit of spicy freshness as well. And in the dry run you get a bit of soft woodiness. I do not find its woody side to be prominent, but it's definitely there, and the whole thing turns ambery in what I think is a really nice way. And sort of a simplified, the OG Eau de Toilette, at least to my nose, is basically a mix of a nuanced dose of freshness, a bit of woodiness and a prominent dose of amberiness. Luna Rossa Carbon EDT has ambroxan in it, and to my nose it's the combination of ambroxan, the lavender in it, and its sort of a spicy freshness that gives it so many similarities to the classic Sauvage Eau de Toilette. But while I do think there are some clear similarities between Sauvage EDT and Carbon EDT, I also feel there are some clear differences. And the biggest one is really that the freshness of Sauvage EDT is so loud, so bright, and so in your face, whereas the freshness of Luna Rossa Carbon EDT, at least to my nose, is less intensely bright, less in your face, and also a lot smoother. So there are similarities for sure between these two, and I'm pretty sure that Prada created Carbon Eau de Toilette to try and create their own banger that would be similar to Sauvage Eau de Toilette. I think Carbon EDT is a great alternative to Sauvage Eau de Toilette, and I do think it's for someone who really enjoys the overall scent profile of Sauvage, but for someone who prefers something Sauvage-ish that's a bit smoother and more sort of polished. I think Luna Rossa Carbon, the Eau de Toilette, is incredibly wearable, incredibly versatile, and it definitely works for any occasion. I do think you can wear it anywhere throughout the year to any occasion, and rest assured that you will smell good to most people. I'm gonna go more into the details of the performance of Carbon Eau de Toilette a bit later on, but at least on my skin it's above average. Let's move on to the newer Prada Luna Rossa Carbon Eau de Performance, and on my skin this opens up quite intensely aromatic fresh with a really nice dose of sweetness to it. If I really put my nose to it, there's also a bit of soft spiciness in the opening, but I do feel the opening, at least on my skin, is mostly about a gorgeous dose of aromatic freshness. It's got a gorgeous kind of sweetness to it that in a way is a bit hard to explain, but I do feel that once it moves into the mids, that part of Carbon Eau de Performance grows in intensity. To sort of clarify my thoughts on its sweetness, I don't think it's a sweet fragrance, but it has a sweet-ish kind of side to it that I think is both unique and that I truly enjoy. And when it dries down, the whole thing, at least on my skin, turns more intensely woody. You still have that sort of a sweet aspect to it in the dry down as well, and the whole thing, at least on my skin, turns quite ambery. So on my skin, Luna Rossa Carbon Eau de Performance is a combination of aromatic freshness and brightness, a bit of sexy sweetness, and the whole thing turns quite intensely woody but smoothly woody in the dry down, and the whole thing turns gorgeously ambery warm in the dry down. So when I compare the two, I do feel that the newer Carbon Eau de Performance moves away from the more fresh Eau de Toilette. I had someone saying in a comment that he felt that the new Carbon Eau de Performance is very similar to the Eau de Toilette, but I definitely disagree. I do not feel these two are the same. Carbon Eau de Toilette is for someone who wants a more intensely fresh kind of scent. Carbon Eau de Performance is for someone who wants a more woody scent with a bit of freshness to it. And since I got this question on my video on the newer Carbon Eau de Performance, do I think Carbon Eau de Performance is similar to Sauvage Eau de Toilette like Carbon Eau de Toilette is? And the answer to that is no. I'm not getting Dior Sauvage vibes from Carbon Eau de Parfum as I do with Carbon Eau de Toilette. But that's just my nose. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with me on this. So I'm gonna get to the performance of Carbon Eau de Parfum soon, but this on my skin is definitely above average. So let's compare the vibe of these two. I do feel that the original Carbon Eau de Toilette is very much a sexy fresh scent. You get a bit of that fresh out of the shower kind of vibe, and that kind of scent done in a sexy way. But when it comes to sexiness, the new Eau de Parfum, I'm gonna say, pretty much crushes the Eau de Toilette. This, at least to my nose, is a lot more sexy, but also sexy in a different way if you compare it to the Eau de Toilette. The EDT has a more casual kind of vibe to it, whereas I do feel in a way that the Eau de Parfum is a bit more classy. So casual done in a sexy way, and this is sexiness, at least to my nose, this is sexiness with a bit of class and elegance to it. So let's compare these two when it comes to compliments and mass appeal. If you ever worn Carbon Eau de Toilette, then you know that it's a versatile compliment getter. Most people will most definitely enjoy getting a whiff of this. And I think Carbon Eau de Parfum is equally mass appealing. However, I'm gonna say that I think that the Eau de Parfum is more of a head turner. Carbon Eau de Toilette most definitely feels a bit more familiar thanks to the clear similarities it has to the incredibly popular Sauvage Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Parfum is definitely more of a unique scent, which definitely will turn more heads. Both are very likable scents though, and when it comes to compliments and mass appeal, I'm gonna say it's pretty much a tie. When it comes to performance, I rate Carbon Eau de Toilette 7 for both projection and longevity. I mean, this is not a super strong fragrance, but at least on my skin, it's definitely above average. I've been wearing both side by side with an equal amount of space on each arm for a few days now, and every single time Carbon Eau de Parfum after like 30 minutes or 60 minutes starts to take over. During like the first 30 minutes or so, I can clearly pick up on the Eau de Toilette together with Carbon Eau de Parfum. But after like an hour, Carbon Eau de Parfum definitely takes the lead. So I do feel, at least on my skin, that Carbon Eau de Parfum has better performance than the Eau de Toilette. I would love to hear your thoughts on the performance of these two, so let me know in the comments. But with that said, I do not think you should expect beast mode performance from any of these two. When it comes to usage, so like seasons and occasions, the reason why Luna Rossa Carbon, the Eau de Toilette, is among the fragrances I think are perfect for everyday use is because I do feel it's very versatile. You can wear the Eau de Toilette anytime, anywhere, on any occasion throughout the year. Carbon Eau de Parfum is definitely not as fresh. I also feel it's not as versatile as the EDT. However, I do not feel that Carbon Eau de Parfum is an overly sweet, overly heavy, overly deep kind of scent in any way. So I do feel you can use Carbon Eau de Parfum throughout the year, but with a focus on spring, summer nights, fall and winter. So when it comes to versatility, I do feel that the Eau de Toilette is a bit more versatile. But with that said, I do feel the Eau de Parfum is still quite versatile. If I would choose like work, school, definitely when you are going to the gym or like running errands and stuff, the Eau de Parfum, definitely, because I do feel this is more sexy, definitely more for date nights and going out. But I do feel you can treat the Eau de Parfum as an everyday kind of fragrance as well. However, do not expect the same kind of intense freshness that you get from the EDT. It does have a bit more depth to it. So who are these for? Let's make it super simple. If you usually enjoy fragrances that are a mix of freshness, woodiness with an amber side to them, then you most likely enjoy the Eau de Toilette. And if you love Dior Sauvage, the Eau de Toilette, but always wanted a more, in a way, versatile version of it that has a less intensely bright kind of freshness, and that's definitely a bit more smooth, then this is for you. So I guess you could say that if you enjoy Dior Sauvage-ish kind of scents, then you most likely enjoy this. Carbon Eau de Parfum is for someone who, at least to my nose, enjoys more woody scents with a dose of aromatic freshness together with a bit of amberness and sweetness. If you only buy and wear beast mode fragrances, then none of these two are for you. Because while both, at least on my skin, have an above average performance, I do not feel these two are beast mode. So which of these two is the best? I do feel that Carbon Eau de Toilette is pretty much a modern classic by now. It's basically Prada's take on the classic Sauvage Eau de Toilette, but basically Sauvage Eau de Toilette done in a smoother and more versatile way. I think the EDT is a great versatile everyday kind of fragrance. But Carbon Eau de Parfum really surprised me, and it's definitely not that often that fragrances, at least nowadays, surprise me the way Carbon Eau de Parfum has. While Carbon EDT definitely feels more familiar with its quite clear similarities to Sauvage Eau de Toilette, I do feel Carbon Eau de Parfum has a lot more uniqueness to it. And I'm not sure you can see this, but take a look at the dent I put into my brand new bottle of Carbon Eau de Parfum. It's actually almost halfway through what I put to Carbon EDT, but I've had Carbon EDT for a lot longer. And I already bought a backup bottle of Carbon Eau de Parfum. I will always spray on Carbon EDT. I do think this is an absolutely fantastic fragrance. However, when comparing these two, there's something, at least to my nose, that makes Carbon Eau de Parfum absolutely intoxicating. Even though we're just a quarter into 2026, I feel Carbon Eau de Parfum is definitely among the very best men's fragrances released this year, and even if you would compare this to some of the best ones of 2025, I still feel this is definitely among some of the best. And if I would choose one of these two, I would definitely go with Carbon Eau de Parfum. So this is where I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these two, Carbon EDT and Carbon Eau de Parfum? And if you would choose between these two, which do you think is the best? Drop a like on this video. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe if you're brand new, and make sure you check out my other videos over there.